listening to Pop Leisure, and I'm your host, Lane Caddy, giving you the lowdown on local happenings, movies, music, arts, and entertainment in your neighborhood. Get in touch with me on Instagram at Pop Leisure Show or email popleisureshow@gmail.com. You can listen in on 98.5 FM The Phoenix, Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 9 p.m. Welcome to Pop Leisure Show. This weekend, always something fun going on. I'm going to start out with a really full list of movies that you can see this weekend. There's been a lot of really terrific movies coming out all summer long, ranging from Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey to Toy Story 5, Moana live action, even Minions, and more recently Spider-Man, A Brand New Day release. And many of those still in theaters, but this week has a crazy good list of new releases. Some of them more highly anticipated to do well in the box office, and others a little more unknown and maybe kind of interesting, actually. So on top of my list for new releases this weekend are going to be The Brink of War. This is an Angels studio production about President Reagan, who's racing against time to salvage a deal with the Soviet leader Gorbachev that could dismantle nuclear arsenals or ignite disaster. With pressure mounting on all sides, every word spoken brings the world closer to peace or destruction. This is starring Jeff Daniels as Ronald Reagan. Yeah, Jeff Daniels, who played opposite Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber, that guy. He's playing Reagan in The Brink of War, and that is opening on August 14th. Next up, The End of Oak Street. This one, not one that I heard a lot about coming up, but it's definitely going to have some traction. First of all, starring Anne Hathaway, the same Anne Hathaway who was the queen in The Odyssey. So she's got a huge list of films this summer, including Devil Wears Prada 2, and she just one after the other. So Anne Hathaway starring in this, The End of Oak Street. Let's talk about what this even is. It's about a family in the 1980s who start to notice bizarre happenings in their neighborhood. And after a mysterious cosmic event rips their street from suburbia, it transports their neighborhood to some unknown place and unknown time. The Platt family soon discovers that their existence depends on them sticking together as they navigate their new surroundings. And their new surroundings seem to include like dinosaurs. I think that they got, like time warped into a Jurassic period situation. So The End of Oak Street, starring Anne Hathaway, another brand new strong possibility for this weekend. And the list goes on. Nimrod's dropping this weekend also is a Green Day inspired road trip comedy film. I love a road trip comedy film, and I kind of like Green Day too. So together, I think these things are going to be a big hit. Down the list, Paw Patrol 3, a dino movie. That kind of speaks for itself. If you have ever seen any parts of Paw Patrol, you know that the target market for that is children ages 1 to 5, maybe 1 to 7. It depends on how much you love Paw Patrol. But matter of fact, Oaks Center Cinema created this certificate that says, I saw my first movie at Oaks Center Cinema, especially for the release of Paw Patrol 3, because it has such a young demographic that we think a lot of the people seeing that are going to be bringing a kid for the first time to see the movie in the theaters. And what better way to celebrate that than to take home a little certificate that feels like an award, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Those showings are going to be a lot of sensory-friendly showings, meaning that we will have maybe the sound a little lower, the lights a little higher, and also encourage people to feel comfortable moving around, or if the children are moving around, it's okay. For Paw Patrol 3 in particular. For something like The Odyssey, we highly discourage any kind of interruptions that's super distracting for adult films and for adults trying to watch a film. But for Paw Patrol 3, we're going to have things just a little differently formatted so that the youngest of our customers can really enjoy their time. I have 2 more new movies and then even other movies. I'm just going to keep going because this is such a cool weekend for movies. This next one was off my radar until I started digging into it, and now I cannot wait to see this. It's called The Rivals of Amaziah King. At first, I thought that was a typo. That is actually correct. The Rivals of Amaziah King. Matthew McConaughey plays the Amaziah King, a beekeeper, musician, and anchor of his community who reunites with a former foster daughter after years apart and finds the need to fight off threats to his livelihood as a beekeeper. So many fascinating things happening here. First of all, Matthew McConaughey, hey. Matthew McConaughey has such a great voice and he's such a great actor. We're really excited to see him in this starring role. And a beekeeper and a musician. I mean, beekeeping is fascinating in and of itself. This talks about some like dramatic issues with the beekeeping, situation for him. And I really feel like this is going to be a bigger hit than anybody's expecting. Particularly, the name is sort of far out, The Rivals of Amaziah King. I'm interested to find out why it's called that. I don't know anything about that. But Matthew McConaughey, I think, is going to really drive this movie to some success. Next up in the new releases is The Wrong Girls. It tells the tale of 2 friends who get in over their heads into some glowing psychedelics, and they bumble around into a case of mistaken identity that throws their lives into chaos. It looks like a very silly stoner movie with the twist of 2 women leading the chaos, and a brand of film that's been historically driven by male leads. So The Wrong Girls, if you're looking for something very lighthearted and goofy this weekend. There's even some special programming this weekend at Oak Center Cinema. First, 6, the musical, is playing. It's a modern retelling of the lives of the 6 wives of Henry VIII, presented in the form of a singing competition. This is a very popular theatrical musical thing that's going on, and this is going to be they did this with Hamilton, where they did a filming of the presentation of the musical as it is on stage. So it's not a remake of it. It's going to the theater to see on film the musical that maybe you didn't get the chance to go see on Broadway, or maybe you saw it on Broadway and you loved it so much that you want to see it in theaters also. That is taking place Saturday, Sunday, and maybe even a little bit next week. Looks like Saturday at 4 p.m. and Sunday 8/16 at 2 p.m. or 12 p.m. rather, excuse me. So 6, the musical, that's an opportunity. And then Point Break, 35th anniversary. Point Break is a cute movie 35 years ago. Here's a little synopsis for you. After a string of bizarre bank robberies in Southern California, with the crooks donning masks of various former presidents, a federal agent, Johnny Utah, played by Keanu Reeves, infiltrates the suspected gang. So this Point Break 35th anniversary film is screening at Oak Center Cinema Sunday, August 16th, and also Wednesday, August 19th. Then we have some classics. Godzilla versus Megalon, that's from 1973, is playing Sunday the 16th. And the kids series for this coming week, that's the Dollar Kids Movie Summer Series, is the Minions movie. So also upcoming at Oak Center Cinema, check out at the end of the month a huge Harry Potter series, a chance to watch any of the Harry Potter movies on the big screen. They're playing the whole series. More information to come on that. Wow. So I know that was like a very endless list of movies, but that's that's how many amazing movies are coming out this weekend, not to mention the incredible holdovers, like I said earlier, about Spider-Man, The Odyssey, Toy Story 5, Minions, endless good stuff to see. If you are coming out to Oaks, maybe you want to stop in at the Expo Center. The Oddities and Curiosities Expo is August 15th to 16th at the Expo Center for the lovers of strange, unusual, and bizarre. The Oddities and Curiosities Expo is the world's largest traveling oddities event, showcasing hand-selected vendors, dealers, artists, and small businesses with all things weird. You'll find items such as taxidermy, preserved specimens, original artwork, horror, Halloween-inspired pieces, antiques, handcrafted oddities, quack medical devices, creepy clothing, odd jewelry, skulls, bones, funeral collectibles, and much more. Whew, this is going to be one exciting show. Kids 12 and under are free and do not need a ticket at the Expo Center here in Oaks, August 15th and 16th. Okay, I've got just one more for you. The Bedminster Traditional Artisan Show, August 15th and 16th, also at the Expo Center in different halls. Celebrate the enduring spirit of American craftsmanship at the Bedminster Traditional Artisan Show, which brings together 40 of the country's finest artisan works in traditional America and folk art. Meet the artisans and shop for handcrafted treasures, including furniture, paintings, quilts, hooked rugs, pottery, baskets, and wood carvings. It is quite a list this weekend of things to do here in Oaks. Hang on for an amazing interview with the one and only Buzz Saylor from Merging Circles, who is playing his debut show at Oaks Center Cinema in the Atmosphere, a special space, like a speakeasy vibe for his incredible world-class musical act. Again, this is Buzz Saylor coming up of Merging Circles fame. And shout out, a special thank you to Buzz. Buzz Saylor is also the composer who wrote the theme music for Pop Leisure Show. So major thanks to Buzz for his help with our show music. And there's so much excitement around his show coming up this weekend at Oak Center Cinema. Listen in for the rest of the interview. Have a great weekend, everybody. You're listening to Pop Leisure, and I'm your host, Lane Caddy. Pop Leisure gives you the lowdown on local happenings, movies, music, art, and entertainment. Let us know what's happening in your neck of the woods at Pop Leisure Show on Instagram or email popleisureshow@gmail.com. Join us on FM 98.5 The Phoenix, Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 9 p.m. I'm joined today by Buzz Saylor. He's the songwriter and keyboard player, drummer, and lyricist for Merging Circles, set to perform their debut show at Oak Center Cinema on Saturday, August 15th at 7 p.m. Buzz, welcome to the show.
Hello, Lane.
Hello. I'm so happy that you're here to talk with me because Merging Circles is such a very unique live music experience. And I'm really excited that we get to take the time and tell the listeners about what they might expect on August 15th.
Right. Well, the interesting thing is this band has been in its existence now for about almost 9 years. Believe it or not, we spent the first 6 years rehearsing. We didn't play.
For 6 years?
6 years of rehearsals.
Wow.
Which was compositions. I was writing and mostly trying to figure out if I could write, because I'm not really a keyboard player or a songwriter. I wrote songs years ago with a band called Simon Apple as a lyricist and as a melodic. I did the vocals.
Okay.
And drummed it. Now with this project, I had all these song ideas, but being a drummer, I couldn't relate that to anybody other than myself. So I sat down and figured, okay, I'm going to learn to play keys.
Okay.
And I did. And then as that began to evolve, I recruited the players. I kind of knew who I wanted to get involved. And over the course of the first year, we assembled the band. And then we added a few more as we went. But the cool thing about it was we actually started rehearsing in my parents' old house. And then at one point or another, I realized that was not going to be, we couldn't maintain it. We had to branch out and find another location. And I spoke with a wonderful man named Jerry Fry, who
Yeah?
you might happen to know.
I know him.
Yeah, I thought you might. He basically was very gracious. He said, I've heard that you guys need a place to rehearse. And he gave us a room upstairs in the at Arnold's facility where we spent the next 2 years honing our craft.
Sure, sure.
And then we debuted the band technically about 3 years ago at the other establishment, which was called the Atmosphere above Arnold's.
Right.
And we kind of turned it into a jazz speakeasy, which was really unique. We had recliner and love seats and recliners and throw rugs and lava lamps and all kinds of
Lava lamps. That's
hippie
great.
stuff. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
A real atmosphere. You really set an atmosphere there.
Right.
Yes.
And the people that showed up were really kind of happy because it was nothing like they had been around before. Now, you can go into the major cities and you can find these underground places there, but they're expensive.
True.
And
yes.
we kept costs down, and we were very, very pleasantly surprised with how well it went over.
Wonderful.
I think we did a total of 17 shows, but we ran into some problems. And then when it came time to make the decision, they mentioned the theater complex over here at Oaks Center Cinema. And we looked at different rooms, but the thing was we wanted to maintain the feel of the speakeasy vibe with, you know how theaters are, they're kind of static seating.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And eventually they were so cool about this. They said, we can remove seats and you can add seating to make it cozy and give it the vibe. But the coolest part of the story was when we went into Theater 5, which is the one we are currently in. It was not designed the way you would think. It was what I call a projection theater, your standard projection theater. There was one wall outlet for a vacuum cleaner. Well, we needed to install all of the power. So Seth, our tech guy, who's basically a wizard at this stuff, he laid it out and said, we have to install audio, we have to install electric, and we have to install fiber optics for video. Mm-hmm. And I think, okay, what kind of a task is this going to be? Well, this took months and months and months of work.
Yeah.
But as the time went through, the conversion took place, and now we have arrived at the point where we're ready, rehearsed, and prepared to start playing again. And that will happen on August 15th, Saturday night.
That's so exciting. Okay, so for those unfamiliar with the band in any capacity we've never heard, tell us what kind of music is played.
Okay, my history, I grew up playing jazz, big band swing as a young kid, and then evolved into rock, progressive rock, all kinds of all the nightclubs, you know.
Sure.
There used to be clubs all over the place. Well, this band is totally unique in one respect in particular. I've always, when I was talking to my dad growing up, he said, you know, don't pigeonhole yourself into one style. Keep it open-ended. And the industry that I'm in, they tell you straight out, find an identifiable sound and stick to it.
Sure.
So you have, people can go into a record store and they say, okay, I like opera, I like jazz, I like classical, I like hip-hop, I like metal. Where does Merging Circles fit?
Right.
We do not fit.
The answer is nowhere.
We don't. And then people say, well, how does that make any sense? If you were going to take a world tour and you didn't have the money to travel the earth and see the beauties of the Middle East or the Far East or South America or some of the beautiful places you can go, most people can't do that. But musically, we take you on that trip. We take you all over the globe stylistically. South American spice, American rock, and straight-up jazz. Far Eastern mystical music and rhythm.
Oh, cool.
And Middle Eastern music is so beautiful. I know there are all the conflicts in the Middle East. We hear about all the horrors of what goes on in the world over the centuries. But when you listen to Middle Eastern music, it's quite compelling. It's very ancient. It has a different set of scale notes than we use here in Western civilization. It's very haunting, and it's very, very profound to me because there are things about music that move the spirit and soul. You don't have to even talk about it. You just listen to it, and it does different things to different people. That's what we are trying to do with Merging Circles, is to conjure up all these different feelings and vibes and moods, whether it makes you cry, gives you chills, makes you happy, makes you at times edgy. We have some heavy, dark stuff, too. You know, there are people out there who like their raging rock and roll.
That's true, yes.
We bring all of that to the table, and then people can pick and choose which ones they like most.
That's such a beautiful mission to take people on that journey.
Yeah.
because even if you are reasonably well traveled, there's a lot of places that, you just can't get to everywhere, right?
That's right.
You just can't get to everywhere. And so many beautiful cultures to explore. It's seems like you must spend a lot of time really studying music from around the world.
Yeah, listening to, the artists I grew up with, I was most influenced by the Genesis type of band, or Sting, or mostly Peter Gabriel, for example. The thing I liked most about Peter Gabriel was when he left Genesis, they all thought, well, that's career suicide. Why would you leave this legendary band to take this risky move and go off on your own and do? Well, he just decided to turn things upside down. And that's a big risk, much like what Miles Davis did. Or of all people, you could think of Ludwig van Beethoven.
Was he a risk taker?
He was a huge
Tell me
risk
about
taker.
that.
Okay,
I don't know.
That's a great thing. I'm glad you like this topic. He wrote a piece called the Ninth Symphony. And he was heralded in that part of the world as literally the Elvis Presley of the world back then. When he finished the Ninth Symphony and debuted it, and everybody that was there in attendance, they literally carried him out on their shoulders.
Wow.
Months later, he decided to try something totally different, which was kind of a form of chamber music. And the same people who told him he was this magical magician of music and had just done the miracle of the world hated him for what he did.
Oh.
They just said, this is awful. You're truly, the quote was, you're deafer than we thought you were, because he had gone deaf.
Oh, yes.
But the music eventually, it didn't catch on at first. But he knew ahead of time where music was going to wind up eventually. He had a belief, much like Miles Davis did. Miles Davis was a legendary jazz trumpeter, as you probably have heard.
Yes.
He became famous for bebop when he was growing up, and that was where he earned his reputation. Mm-hmm. He had enough. And he decided to do something utterly different. Again, musical suicide. It turned into a whole new style, culture, and flavor of music that since then has affected so many musicians.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of, again, the whole point. We talk about this as a band often. The music comes first. It's always, what is the point about the song? Let's make the song better. Let's make the music do what it's supposed to do. And everything else is secondary. So we're kind of on that mission to see if we can change a little bit of the culture by introducing multi-flavors for people without selling out, which is the hardest part.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So when you are working on a song, you were talking about how different people are affected differently by different flavors of music. Do you have in mind a goal for a song, like this song is going to make people cry, or this song is energizing, or or is it different for everybody?
That's never the intent when you start. A song evolves all by itself. Oftentimes I'll sit down at a keyboard and I'll play a chord, and if I don't like the chord I'm playing, I'll keep fumbling around until I find the chord that hits me. Mm-hmm. But it's always the chord that follows that triggers something. And it's usually an emotional thing for me. Right off the bat, I know kind of where I want to go with it, style-wise. Then you add the rhythm that you feel, because I'm a drummer. The rhythm usually starts to well up in people because it's a very primal thing. We're kind of like rhythm-based units.
Absolutely.
And we don't talk about it. They say, oh, it's a carbon-based life form, which is true. But when you get down to it, cavemen, they didn't have telephones and TVs. They communicated through rhythm. Mm-hmm. If there was a storm coming and they wanted to alert the tribe a mile away, they would bang out rhythms. So rhythm has been a primal source of communication and emotion for a lot of people, and it has thrived, and only, it's evolved. Rhythms nowadays are just incredibly complex. So I rely on that as my next phase, is what the rhythm of the piece of music is. And as all those things start to come together, the emotion starts to take shape as well. Okay.
I understand. It's kind of born of the coming together of the different pieces.
Yeah,
of the
it's
song.
not planned. If you plan it with me, if I plan something, it tends to explode in my face.
Same.
You know what I mean?
For just about anything in life, if I have too many plans that I think everything's going to go a certain way,
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Yes, you're right. It has to evolve naturally.
And you roll with it. Usually if a plan is not going well, it's because it's not supposed to go well. And if you kind of take that and go, well, where's it supposed to go?
Right.
And you
learn to let go and flow down the river with it.
It's the truth is what I'm always after. What is the truth of what I'm trying to say musically or lyrically? When you get to the truth of what it is you're feeling, you tend to find success. And if you fake your way through it, people can see right through that. Phoniness in music is everywhere.
That's so true.
It's plastic. It's cheap. It's been done over and over. It's no one seems to understand, in its essence, the risk of trying something different. Though risky, is often the greatest reward.
Yeah.
If you write something that makes you internally feel good, hopefully others will feed off of that.
Yeah.
And if you're writing something that's false, that's really not you, for me, I see right through it, and it never stirs my soul.
I see what you mean. I think that people don't set out to be phony, of course, and that the trap that you might fall into, that somebody might fall into, that I would fall into, is setting out with a goal in mind, with a purpose, and saying, "Oh, it has to come out this way," and fabricating something that didn't really strike that chord, right? But like meaning it. I want to write a song that makes people feel sad, or write a song that brings you to tears, and having it not naturally evolve that way, right? It's something I'm forcing, and so it comes off phony. And where you're kind of starting with the music, letting the music speak to you, letting it evolve, and studying. Studying. I'm really taken with this idea of studying different cultures. You said something really interesting about Middle Eastern music and how it has chords that don't or notes. What part notes that don't exist in our
They exist,
repertoire.
But for example, in America, we have a scale: do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Yes, I sing that with my children.
Their scale has different intervals, and they're darker, and they're la 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 la. It moves differently, and as soon as you hear it, it has like a darker undertone. It's very ancient sounding. Now, I'm not suggesting that it's evil or bad dark. I mean, it just has a warmer, more nighttime feel for me. And I think a lot of that, when you hear what we do one piece in particular called Saharan Moon that uses the Middle Eastern scale. It's not what I call a happy, bouncy, joyful song.
Sure.
So if I was going to do lyrics for that song, they would not be, oh, let's go to the beach and enjoy the sand, because they have sand over there in the Middle East. It would be more of an ancient vibe. And I don't want to get too heavy, but when you listen to certain cultures of music, you can almost hear their heritage, which evolves through their music. I mean, people grow up in Poland, and they, you listen to that kind of music, you can hear what they were probably dancing to 300-400 years ago, 1,000 years ago, and it's reflected in their style of music.
It's so cool that is this beautiful way that we can experience another culture without getting there. You can really you can feel it. You can feel it in your body. I'm excited about that.
You know what else is cool, Lane? It's the one thing we all agree we like. We don't all like vegetables. We don't all like money. We don't all like certain forms of religion. We don't all like sports. We don't all like clothes styles and changes. But what's the one single thing, I thought about this years ago, that we all agree we like? It's music.
It's music.
It's the only thing I can think of, whether it's jazz or classical or opera or country or bluegrass or R&B and hip hop.
Yeah, we all like music.
We all like it, which means it's got to have such a powerful, there's something just radiantly powerful about that thought.
Absolutely.
Music truly unites us.
Yeah. And it lights up your brain, too.
It does.
Like they do the MRIs of people listening to music. Is it an MRI or something else where you can see the brain activity?
Oh, yeah.
Is it an EEG, maybe?
I think
it's an EEG. And listening to music, I mean, you're lighting up different centers of the brain that are unrelated in everyday tasks that don't often work together.
Right.
And I think that there's all different therapies around music and helping people recover from traumatic brain injury and helping people with learning disabilities even to help network those parts of the brain together. This is fascinating stuff. I think music is so powerful.
There's one song we do called Two Kinds of People. And real quick, there was a night when I was in rehearsal mode. Oftentimes at 3 a.m. I would wake up because I couldn't sleep. There was something cooking in my soul. And I would go downstairs and turn on all the equipment. And this one particular night around 3 a.m, I turned on my keyboard and I turned on the mixing boards and all the recorders. And I decided to see if I had a song happening. And there was nothing. This went on for half an hour. I was a little frustrated. So I turned everything back off, and I was getting ready to go back to bed. And on my way out of the room, I sat down behind the percussion rig. And I plopped my hands on a set of conga drums in frustration, just laid them on top of these drums. And I started scratching the drum heads while I was thinking about going back to sleep. And as I'm scratching the drum heads, I started to swirl my fingernails on one and scratching the other. Well, what happens is I started to hear a drum groove based on this, just by chance moment of frustration. I went over and turned on all the equipment again, and I turned on the microphones. And I turned this finger scratching on congas into a groove, and I recorded it on the spot. And I got so stirred and excited by what I was hearing, I went back over and I got on my keyboard, and I found that first chord. I thought, this is a minor mode. There is something cool going on here. I don't know what it is. It was very organic. Well, lo and behold, I got those two parts kind of cooking, and within the hour, I had also written the nastiest part of the tune, which was the bass line. This never, ever, ever happens, by the way. Within 24 hours, I had the whole song composed. Lyrics, melody, groove, bass line, and chords. And it's one of the staples in our show. But again, it was purely by accident and of frustration. It was born out of anxiety, fatigue, and frustration. Instead of taking it out and throwing a brick through a window, it turned into music. It turned into a song.
Yes.
That's exactly my point. There is some reason why that was going to happen, and luckily I tapped into it. But it wasn't me. There's a higher power at play on that one.
That's so cool. That's so cool that you feel connected to the great divine that, we don't know where this is coming from. That's coming out of you, but you don't know where it's coming from.
Oh, and it's so cool that he decided, we're going to channel some of this hostility, some of this frustration into a positive thing. Just don't go to bed until you get this done. I didn't sleep the whole 24 hours.
You didn't sleep the rest of the night. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
No way.
Yes, yeah. Because you were on to something. I know that feeling. I think everybody knows that feeling.
Yes.
They call it flow, right? And it is like the state of pure happiness, or the state that that results in the most happiness in people, the people who are more frequently involved in a state of flow. If there is a documentary out there somewhere, I don't know who wrote it, but you watch the same one. I can see you like, yes, we definitely know what you're talking about.
When you tap into that, you can't shut it down, and you're not supposed to. Like the phone rings, I don't pick up the phone in that moment.
No,
or if somebody bangs on the door, you don't answer the door.
No, it has to be uninterrupted for sure, because it's like if you shake it, you might not get it back. It's like, because you're right, it comes from somewhere else.
Right.
That's because you can't, if you interrupt it, you try to come back to it, it's not there anymore.
There's no
it didn't
guarantee.
come from you. I mean, maybe sometimes we can find the tail end of it and grab it and bring it back, but not oftentimes. It came from somewhere else, and you wouldn't even know where to look.
You ride that wave until the wave is done, and then you look back and go, was it worth the trip? And in this case, in a lot of cases, it is. But sometimes those things wind up nowhere. But on this particular night, it turned out to be a gold mine for me. And it was a very positive experience.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, okay, so if you're just joining us, the show that is coming up, it's this weekend, Saturday, August 15th at 7 p.m.
Not this weekend. It's August 15th.
Right,
3 weeks.
August 15th.
Yes.
At 7 p.m. at Oak Center Cinema. And you can get tickets at oakcenter.net. We were talking with the Water Tower team. We're going to put it on watertowerlive.com so you can buy tickets through there as well, see the listing about this show. And tell me about setting up the space in the movie theater. So I actually just went to tour it right before we talked, and it is a spectacular space like nothing that you'll see anywhere else. And you guys have gone to great lengths to make it not just a place where people can come and view live music, but that the entire room elevates the level of experience and kind of ties into the music. Tell me more about that, the lighting, the ambiance.
It was fascinating how this came about. The gentleman I'm working closely with, Seth, who people will get to meet, he's kind of the guru of all the technical side of the art that we're doing. He and I had a conversation about 9 months ago in our old rehearsal room one night. He came in and, we had met, and he said, how do you feel about your music going into a surround sound audio, something that's never been done before? And we discussed Pink Floyd and some of the bands who had tried it in the 70s and it didn't work out. He said, technology wasn't available back then, but it is now. Uh-huh. And we started talking about this and about a venue where we could pull this off. And he started experimenting and programming and designing and shaping audio that would accommodate our music. Well, of course, I'm thrilled to death on that whole notion about experimenting with something that hasn't been done.
Oh, sure.
So when we were given the green light to go into the theater, we had to consider how to do this. Because, again, it hadn't been done, and we're in a projection theater, not an audio environment.
Right.
So Seth and I talked this through, and he is such a pioneer and a workaholic on this stuff. He wouldn't stop. And he's up there on this thing called a scissor lift up in the rafters.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's a very tall ceiling in the thing.
I was mortified with this guy up there on this thing. He'd be up there up and down all day long, wiring and running trussing and lighting, scaffolding, and you name it. And the whole point was we had to get everything kind of wired and ready first. We had to get the speaker system installed. We had to run all the cabling and fiber optics for video. We converted the theater into this particular sound room that we're in now. And as you mentioned, it's not what you would expect. It still has the coziness of the old Atmosphere Club.
Oh yeah. It feels very speakeasy, very comfy, cozy. Yeah. I'm really a particularly fan of the rugs. I know that's a random detail, but I really appreciate it.
Girls like rugs, man.
I don't know, but maybe it's a girl thing. They're just beautiful, and it makes it feel less like a commercial space and more
cozy.
Like a cozy space that you want to just get settled into.
Guess who vacuums the rugs?
Is it you, Buzz?
I do. People that know me know I'm not exactly what you call the cleanest clean freak. I'm no Adrian Monk by a long shot. However, I'm in there at least twice a month, 3 times a month, and I don't just vacuum the theater. I vacuum the hallways outside the theater. I want the place to be spectacularly neat and unique, and the rugs are such a catchy thing. They serve 2 purposes. They're cozy and charming. Number 2 is they soak up some of the weird audio.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It like softens the room.
Yeah.
Sure. I get that. But it looks really cared for, too. That's the other thing. It's like, it's dynamic, it's interesting, it's unusual, but your care for the space is evident even from outside the doors of that particular theater. It's like somebody really loves this. Somebody cares for this space.
The musicians I'm working with, they've been doing this for free.
Oh, wow.
Unheard of. They've been doing 8 years. I'll just say it. I don't care if people think this is crazy or not. I'm working with world-class players, and I know these guys. They've been doing this out of their hearts for 8 years. They believe that much in the music. And I usually get choked up doing our show when I start introducing the players because of what it means to them and to me. We might be the last thing on earth that's doing what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And you know how it is. You pull up to a drive-through these days, everything's automated. You go to a doctor's office, you got a kiosk, you're talking to a robot. You get on the phone, making a phone call. You're lucky if you ever get to speak to a human. Mm-hmm. We are one of the last things left. I hope it changes, but we are musicians with hearts, bloodstreams, spinal cords, bones, emotions. We breathe, we cry, and it comes out in our music. And we are doing that to other human beings who are also in the same boat, who may be hoping and praying the day never comes that we become extinct. We want to still keep the idea that passionate music, passionate musicians, and a passionate, willing audience can take part in something together, because it's dying, it's fading, and I'll be damned if we're going to let it just go away without a fight.
And it's importantly human. It's importantly human.
Thank you for saying
Yes.
that. I'm getting choked up right now. It's a human-to-human thing.
Right. And we are losing those.
We are losing.
Yes, you're right. There's less and less of that. So it's important to take the time to stop and participate in some of those, right?
Boy.
So tell me about these other players. One very noticeable thing when I walked into Theater 5, the atmosphere, you call it the atmosphere at Theater 5?
Mm-hmm.
The atmosphere. When I walked in there, there's a lot to take in. Something that stands out is the number of drum sets. It is. We talked about rhythm being really what would you call it? Primal, and it is, and it is probably my favorite part of most music.
Right.
I tend to really love a song that has hand clapping and foot stomping in it. There's something about that just does it for me. I don't know.
Rhythm.
Right. That's like I have a whole playlist of hand clapping and foot stomping. Anyhow, I digress. The point is, how many drum sets are on that stage?
Well, there are 5, but if you would like us to add more, we can always do that.
There are 5.
There are 5
5,
kits.
right? Like most traditional stage setups, right?
1, maybe 2.
Yeah, right.
Maybe
Exactly.
2.
We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Just all lined up, and they're different.
Yes.
And the players. Tell me about your fellow musicians in this band.
Well, since you mentioned drummers, we have technically 4 drummers in the band, I being one of them. But Joe Coons was one of my, he's kind of I wouldn't call him a student of mine, but he was a friend I worked with years and years ago. And when I was looking for somebody to take my place as a drummer, I couldn't think of anybody who could do these weird time signatures, somebody who was hopefully interested, somebody who had the talent to pull this thing off. I called Joe, and he came in for the weirdest audition ever.
The weirdest audition ever.
I had towels and blankets over my drum kit, and I handed him a pair of these plastic rods, and I said, "Here, make some noise. You don't drum, just play from your gut. Play something totally unique." And he looked at me like I was insane. Of course, he knew me. He knew I'm not insane, but I'm trying something radically different.
Sure.
Well, here it is, years later, Joe Coons is drumming his butt off in this project. He's what I call our conventional drummer.
Okay.
He's basically the meat and potatoes drummer of this band. But we also have one of my best students of all time is Jason Wood, who is the newest member. He's percussion. He also plays full drum kit. He's doing all the nuance, the gongs, the sound effects, the digital enhancements.
Oh, okay.
And he is just kind of a jack of all trades. Kind of more of a symphonic drummer, so to speak, as opposed to a rock drummer from his approach, more theatrical. And then we have my friend from Florida, Kevin Checkett, who I've been working with for years, who is a digital drum wizard.
Digital drums?
Yes. He has a drum kit that no one has ever heard of called Dynacord. It's 1984 technology, and you would think, okay, it's 1984 digital drums. It's going to sound like your old 80s pop, Flock of Seagulls stuff. No. No one took advantage of the technology that this company Dynacord came out with, but he found it, bought it, and basically they're little mini synthesizers that he is programming. And the whole point is, no one sounds like this. Nobody has the equipment, and nobody can do what he's doing with it to make the songs totally unique.
Okay.
He painstakingly works to craft each and every family of percussion sound to cater to the specific song we're working on, which means each one has its own signature.
I see. So the value of the digital drum kit is that you can change the sound per song, or even in the middle of a song, I guess.
Yes.
Yes.
He has
okay.
foot switches. He can switch an entire family of sound in a heartbeat. And when you come see us live, you'll be astonished at what comes out of that little island. He calls it the laboratory.
Oh, that's so fun.
Oh, it's killer.
Wow. I will be astonished. I'm not really familiar with digital drums at all. Right. So the idea, just the notion of the digital drum, I'm like, really? Okay, that's new and interesting. Does it make mostly drum sounding sounds, or can you make it like squawking birds, or can it be anything?
He's created sounds. it's like from another galaxy.
Oh, wow.
Weird.
Oh, wow.
And he'll listen to a song idea, right? And
Yeah.
we'll be brainstorming a thing, and I'll play something on keys, and he'll sit there for a half an hour. And he'll be sitting there with his headphones, scrolling through ideas, and then modifying each idea until he creates 7 or 8 different voices on a drum setup that work as a family of sound.
Oh,
You don't have
Okay.
you don't have a really harsh sound and a really deep sound, or a really crazy sound and a Looney Tunes sound. You try to hone it so that they all work in conjunction with each other.
Sure.
Harmonically and musically and spiritually. They feel right together, which
Yes.
takes a lot of work. But the ultimate prize is when you hear the finished product, you say, not only is it really special in a really rich sonic way, but it's utterly unique.
Right.
No one has the technology, no one has the equipment to do it, or the patience. And we're not spring chickens, Kevin and I. We grew up playing together in bands, and we had this discussion about what we weren't sure what we wanted to do, but we were damn sure what we didn't want to do, which is to play the same old, same old.
Right.
So that's kind of the approach.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Is that the whole gang?
No, we have 2 guys that play a thing called an iwi. It's an electric woodwind instrument.
An iwi?
Iwi, yeah. It's an invention that happened maybe 25 years ago for guys who play saxophones and clarinets.
Okay.
It's a digital version of that, much like a keyboard would be, the synthetic version of a piano. Well, this
Okay.
thing opens the doors to all kinds of trickery you can do. If you're a really good woodwind player, you don't have to just play sax. It's got guitar sounds, it's got synth sounds, it's wild. And again, he can program and alter the sounds to accommodate the music.
Wow. That I've never heard of such a thing. Iwi. There's 2 guys. You have 2 different guys that both
yeah.
play an iwi?
Dave Miller plays, he's been with me forever. Dave Miller is one of the greatest sax players I've ever worked with. In fact, he is.
Does he also play the saxophone in the show?
Yes, and he plays keyboards, and he plays the iwi, he plays clarinet, he plays almost everything. And then Rob Diener, from the Reading area, actually, is a brilliant trumpet player. When he first came into audition, he just came in one day to hear a rehearsal, and I kind of jokingly said, Rob, I love your playing, but we don't really need a trumpet player in this band. He said, well, this iwi thing is kind of fascinating. It's like, you actually want to take a swing at that? He goes, yeah. Well, we evolved it. So now not only is he doing the iwi, which he does a little bit of iwi, his trumpet playing is so damn good. It was like, we can't just let this slide. So we've altered the structure of songs to feature him as a brilliant brass guy.
Oh, wow. So he is also playing the trumpet then.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And he's really passionate about it. He goes home and tells me, oh yeah, I've been working on my chops. I've been working on my tone. And he comes into rehearsal and you can hear it.
Amazing.
We're getting older, and these guys are working harder than they ever did.
That's so wonderful because they're passionate.
They're
passionate about the music. That's amazing.
And then we have Dwight McIntosh. He's from the island of St. Vincent. He's a brilliant keyboard player. He's going to be with us. We have 2 bass players. We have Steph Pizzuto, who played with me with Simon Apple all those years. He's been the mainstay bass player for this project. But when he's not available, and for some of the material that's a little more adventurous, we have Eric Schreiber, who is just an amazing bassist. So we have two interchangeable bass players.
Are we talking an upright bass, or is this an electric guitar bass?
Mostly electric.
Okay,
Yep.
Very cool.
And you would think 2 bass players in the same band would be like 2 girls fighting over which guy they want. You would think they'd be fighting. They're not. They get along.
Well, that's good.
Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. We've been hoping they would fist fight out in the park. They refuse.
Thought you'd stir the pot a little bit, get some chaos going.
They're just too nice. They're too nice to each other.
That's terrific. Well, how wonderful! How wonderful. I didn't realize that the instruments themselves were also, I don't want to say experimental, but cutting edge. I mean, when you talk about sort of doing music that transports people through the cultures of the world, it's not simply sampling other cultures' music and bringing it into this performance. It's really synthesizing that into your own material, but feeling that thread, that pull to the other cultures that you've taken,
Yep.
some that you've studied and that you've taken some elements from.
There's beauty in so much music around the world, even if it's not your thing. Like I grew up, I never was a big fan of opera, but there are certain things about opera I find really compelling.
Oh yeah.
With the stuff that we're doing, when I first did the website, I mentioned Far Eastern imagery, and then about a month ago, I thought, wait, well, we don't really have any songs that have Far Eastern flavor in them. So I wrote one, and Kevin joined me with the digital drums, and it's called The Portal, and it basically puts you in the Singapore, Shanghai kind of feeling to it.
Very wonderful.
At least it puts me there, and I know people listen to it. They're gonna feel like they're not in America for a little while.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of imagery, there's also a video element to this show that I think really, like I said, there's just so many layers of the way the atmosphere has been built to support the music. And talk a little bit about what inspired the video element and what the sources are.
Yeah, again, Seth and I talked about it. I'm a lyricist, so whenever I'm writing a lyric, I usually find myself seeing something, part of the story. But I'm always reluctant to take people specifically to where I'm at. I like to leave the lyric open-ended so they can plug in their own association.
It's kind of like the reason why the book is always better than the movie.
Correct.
Right? Because you, in your imagination, can make it yours. And when you see the director's example of it, it doesn't match.
Exactly.
So you're feeling the same way about the video element where you don't want to be really specific.
That's right.
Okay.
Well, I'll get back to the song Two Kinds of People. Seth is a huge fan of that song. It's a very edgy tune. And when it was drafting the lyric, in my experience, there were different types of people that I've encountered in my life, some that I trust and some that I just simply don't. And ironically, I used to play in all these bar bands, and on occasion you play in a biker bar. Or at least the bikers, they're hanging around the band. That's what they do. I found that the bikers were the most reliable guys, especially if a fight broke out. They protect the band immediately.
Oh, interesting.
They do. Like if the music stops,
It may
the
surprise
party's
you.
over.
It may surprise you to know that I've not spent much time in a biker bar, but that's wonderful to know that they were like immediately, if things got a little rough, these guys were making sure that you guys were okay. That's very cool.
It's kind of an unwritten law. Now, I'm not suggesting that bikers are trustworthy angel choir boys. I'm not saying that for a minute. I'm just telling you they tend to wear it on their sleeve. They tend to tell you what they think of you to your face pretty abruptly, whether they like you or not.
You'll hear it right away.
You know where you stand. And with some of the other folks I've met that wear the suits and ties, I have to do an awful lot of guessing and digging to find out who you trust. So Two Kinds of People, we actually have an image on the screen. It's one of the rare occasions where we direct you right to it. It's a conference table with a bunch of lawyers sitting there sipping on their lattes and their cups of water, and the other side of that same image is a bunch of bikers sitting at a bar slugging beers. And they're kind of face to face at the end, and then it's up to the audience to decide. And that goes for the clergy and religion and and our political system. I'm not suggesting that one side is better than the other. I'm just telling you, when you see the politics of America, boy, you talk about a way of dividing.
Oh,
it's brutal.
It's painfully divided. And
depending on who you talk to, you can get it can get ugly.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to be political or persuasive with this band. We're just trying to point out some artistic things about our culture and society in general to get people to think a little bit. But I don't want anybody to come to our show and feel like there's some kind of heaviness about all these different subjects. So our videos, to answer your question, are a little bit more suggestive and open-ended without saturating. They're artistic. They tend to complement what's being played without directing, like we mentioned, directing you to a specific point, because then people can plug in their own channels of feeling.
Right. And from what I saw, it isn't necessarily like one, it's not one story or one long music video.
Right.
It's kind of different visuals that support the rhythm at the moment, and then maybe a few images or a few clips of video, but it rotates through different ways of supporting the music at the time.
Right.
And I just think it's really beautiful, and it's a good way to add another layer of interest and intrigue. And there's a lot of little surprises in the show and in the room, and I'm so impressed with the environment, the atmosphere, as
Yes.
it were, of this space, and I think that our listeners are going to absolutely love it.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too. And this is the first in this new space at Oak Center Cinema, Saturday, August 15th at 7 p.m. Doors at 6 o'clock. Come early, mingle, get something to drink. You can all, the doors at 6 so that it is designed for some just get to know you time at the beginning of the show there. And I'm sure that you have some others planned. This is the first, I hope, of many.
First of many, yeah. And here's the other good point is, talk about it inexpensive for a date for folks down this way. You go to Philadelphia, you pay for parking, you pay for your concert ticket and food and drinks. Whew. We're talking to get in general for this hopefully amazing performance, $20. And it's free parking. I mean,
that's a cheap date right
you're
there.
Darn right, it's a cheap date. This is one even I would think about going on because I've been down to the city for sporting events. The last concert I went to was to see one of my favorite bands, Midnight Oil, down in Philly, and the prices are just out of control.
Sure.
You could barely stand it. So we're trying to keep things cost effective, and we're planning on doing hopefully about every month, and we have a few other things we're cooking behind the scenes for surprise.
That is so exciting. And I got to tell you, it's a repeated theme on this show. I'm talking to people who are creating events, who are creating shows, who are creating, it's like the things to do right here in Oaks, in Phoenixville, in this local area. And it's a repeated theme that the organizer of such an event might look around and want to have an experience that they know they could have downtown in Philly, right? Like I talked to Tony Cadaver about his punk rock flea market and punk rock shows, and he was talking about, we would go downtown for this, but there wasn't anything here.
Right.
And he's an artist, and he wanted to perform here, and it didn't exist, so he had to make it.
That's it.
And that's what you're doing,
that's
right?
What
Like, yes, this is the kind of cultural experience that you can get way downtown, but we're not way downtown. We're here. And we have beautiful spaces and lots of interested people and free parking. So
hard to beat.
So being a pioneer and making it happen right here, I'm so excited about all these things that are starting to bubble up in this little town that, 10 years ago, this little town was a blip on the map, right? You could just breeze right by it on the highway and not even know it was there. But now all these things are starting to really show up.
And it's so cool because, like you just mentioned it, this area is such a hub. It's not in Philly. It's on the outskirts. It's between Reading and Philly, and we'll say New York. This is a pretty highfalutin location that's expanding. And here is this little oasis of a theater complex that's in perfect proximity to all these wonderful businesses that are right in the area. And these folks need something to do without having to go broke on a weekend.
Absolutely.
You drive 5 minutes down the road and you pull into this beautiful complex and you got something cool going on.
Right.
And we're trying to keep this thing cooking,
Exactly. We got to keep it cooking, got to keep people coming in and checking it out. And the people are here is the thing. Like, I feel like maybe it's a post-COVID thing. And maybe I'm wrong about this, but it just felt like after COVID, a lot of people didn't want to be in the city anymore. There were a lot of lifelong city dwellers that were like, I think that it would be just a little more comfortable in the future to be just outside of the city. And that's where we are. We're just outside of the city, and the population is booming. And I wish you very most success. I hope you get epic turnout for this show and many others to be had in the future. You'll have to come back again when you have another one on the books. We'll talk more in the future, Buzz.
That'd be awesome.
Yes. Let's make sure everybody knows where to get their tickets. You can go to oakcenter.net to get tickets for this show, Merging Circles, on August 15th. And you can also go to watertowerlive.com to get more information about the show. If they want to learn more about you, Buzz, and your band, do you have some handles on Instagram or a website?
Yeah, I wish I knew more about it. We have a website. It's just Merging Circles. If you click Merging Circles Band, you'll come right to it.
Okay, good.
And there are song samples and some photos from the previous club. We're not going to show a whole lot of the new theater. That's kind of a surprise until we debut.
The great unveiling, yes.
Yeah,
good.
Then it's going to be inundated, for better or for worse, with images and music, and we'll get the ball rolling. And lastly, when you drive around you know how it is. For how many years you drive around all these different bars, live music, band playing, blah, 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 blah. You don't see it anymore.
No, it's true. It's true. And I think that also is another thing that COVID really damaged.
It did.
It really, really damaged people being allowed to go and gather up and see live music. And it hurt the business so badly that it couldn't recover in many places afterwards.
Yep.
And so it takes a whole lot of effort to put something like this together. And for that, I thank you.
Well, thanks for having this interview today and for supporting. And that gentleman named Jerry Fry and family, please pass on to them how much we appreciate everything they've done to help us.
I sure will. I'm going to tell our listeners that Jerry Fry is my dad.
I was trying to keep that in.
You're so sweet. Jerry Fry's my dad. What a guy. He's a pretty great dad too.
He's a really cool guy. He kept us floating in a bad time, so good for him.
Good for him.
We're not going to let him down.
I know you won't. We're gonna have a great show. I can't wait to see it, Buzz. We'll see you this weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you.